Welcome to another episode of the STR Sisterhood. I'm your host, Stacy St, and I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me into your day today. Now, in this episode, we are sitting down with my good friend, Melissa Mondzelewski, and talking about our ideal week. And that might seem like a strange topic, but let me tell you, it is so incredibly important as business owners that we are filling our time with not only the most strategic work, but with the most fulfilling things in our lives too. And I talk with Melissa exactly about how she does just that. So before I dive into that though, girl, I want to share a quote with you that I recently read. And it says, "My experiences remind me that it's those black clouds that make the blue skies even more beautiful." And those gorgeous words come to us from famous singer Kelly Clarkson. All right, without further ado, let's jump in to my conversation with Melissa. So today we are here with Melissa Mondzelewski, and we are going to have such a fun conversation about planning your ideal week. Melissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here. So excited.
I know, I'm excited too. I want to ask you, obviously, I know you, but for anyone who is listening or watching and doesn't know you, share with us a little bit about who you are and how you got started in the world of short-term rentals.
I started in short-term rentals in 2020 during COVID. We had taken a beach vacation. We have talked about this for years and years and years and never did it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. So that's really how I got started. But for me, it's like we have 4 kids. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. You know, all of that comes first, and then comes the business side of it. So there's a lot of hats to juggle. There's a lot of things, and that's kind of why I became like I'm so passionate about having an ideal week. It's because we all have things that we juggle.
Absolutely. Now, when you started, you said you went to the beach and you decided, hey, I want to do this. I'm assuming that the beach was one of your first go-tos, but talk to us a little bit about your portfolio, what that looks like today.
Right.
And let's start there. And then I have another follow-up question.
So we own 4 places right now, and we're actually building a 5th. And so we own 2 in Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, Alabama. The condo, which is the one that I first started with, is probably one of my favorite properties. And so then we own 2 in Kentucky on the Bourbon Trail. And I think for us, it's partially we're getting older. Like when we retire, to have this income in instead of going, taking everything out of our 401ks and stuff like that. So that is my goal, is to be able to have steady cash on hand when we retire, and we don't have a steady income. Because my husband does have a W-2. I'm very blessed about that. And but that also supports me in my business for short-term rentals.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've got 4 kiddos.
I do.
I'm curious, as you've grown your portfolio, have you found it more challenging, or has it been the same with balancing motherhood, being a wife, and growing your portfolio? Have you found that level of difficulty with having your ideal week evolving at all?
I think you always have seasons, right? I feel like every 5 years, you're almost into a different season. 5 years ago, I had 3 kids at home. Now I have 2 kids at home. In 5 years, I'll be an empty nester, completely different season. So I feel like every 5 years, you kind of go through a different season. So it's constantly adjusting, constantly. And my ideal week, is right for right now. But then in about 5 weeks, my kids are going to be home for the summer, and I'll have 3 kids home for the summer. And so my ideal week's going to change again. And, I'll have a summer ideal week, and then we'll come back to a school day, school ideal week.
Right. Right. So that brings me to my next question. Talk to me about when you became aware of your ideal week, the concept of an ideal week for Melissa. How did that journey begin for you?
I've always had, with 4 kids who were going in different directions in sports and schools. And, I think at one point I had 4 kids in 4 different schools on 4 different schedules. It was a lot. And so I've always had to plan, whether it's planning around school, planning around sports, planning around meals. You've always had to look at that schedule and then, and kind of go, this is what's going to happen this week. But now as my kids have gotten older, there's certain things that I just won't compromise on. I won't compromise on my kids' schedule. I won't compromise on my workouts. I won't compromise, doing family stuff. So when I create my ideal week, all of that goes into my week first. Mm-hmm. And then I put the business stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's talk through some of those tactics, like how you logistically go into planning your ideal week. Are you doing that on the weekend, the week before? And are you filling in those non-negotiables first and then figuring out the rest? Talk to us about how you personally do it.
First, I think you need to know where you're going. I think you really need to have that 5-year vision of where you want to go. And if you don't have that 5-year vision, you're never going to get there. So it's really important to define what that 5-year vision looks like. I look at it like a 1,500 piece puzzle, right? Like every day is like a day, in 5 years, basically. If you just do one little thing every time, then you're going to make that 5-year puzzle. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I look at that 5-year and then you kind of go back into like, what is my 3-year? What is my 1-year dream? And so when I looked at my 1-year dreams, my 1-year goals, what does that look like? And what do I need to do for my business in order to achieve my 1-year goals? Mm-hmm. So now that I have my business goals, now I've created, I basically create a quarterly schedule for myself. And it's not perfect. I'm trying to say, you know what? I'm going to wake up, I'm going to journal. I'm going to, help kids get breakfast, take the kids to school, and then I'm going to work out. And I probably won't start work until about 9 o'clock in the morning. But I'm going to be done probably by 3 to 4 because that's when my kids start coming home or we have sports or something like that. So I have a general plan about that over a quarterly section, but then on Sunday, I have to sit down and go, for this specific week, what do I have going on?
Right.
Tomorrow I have to go pick up my daughter early from school in order to get her to her softball game. So that changes my plan. So my work day is going to be done by 1:45.
Right. So yeah, I love that. I think to your point, obviously we can have a framework with how we approach our ideal weeks and knowing that we're going to have to make shifts and make sacrifices one way or another, not with the non-negotiables. I love that you have non-negotiables and boundaries. And I want to come back to that because I think that that's so, so important. I know for me, very early on, when I've always been a huge fan of time blocking, right? And carving out time on my calendar for the things that are really important. And as you and I both know, sometimes stuff comes up, like unexpected emergencies happen. And lo and behold, I didn't get accomplished what I had put on my calendar. Mm-hmm. For the longest time, I found myself almost feeling guilty about that. And then I realized, I don't know what came over me one day, hey, I need to give myself grace here. This is a living, my calendar is a living, breathing thing, right? Right. Well, giving myself grace when I didn't hold true to my calendar. I'm curious, have you ever had experiences like that? And how did you navigate those same feelings?
So A year ago, my youngest daughter was in a major sports accident, and we were in the hospital for 3 days. She had to do surgery. She was in a wheelchair for about a month. I mean, and then using a little granny walker for almost another, I don't know, like couple months after that. So when I was in the hospital with her for 3 days, it was like the beginning of our spring season. It was busy time. So I was constantly I just kept on saying, can't do it. My daughter's in the hospital. I'll get back to you when I can. And then I just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to. And then it was like, and then my schedule was kaput because I'm like taking care of her. I have to take her to school. I have to take her to physical therapy. I have to do all of this stuff. I mean, and you just kind of say, but what's important is the fact that I have the ability to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not going to, I don't know, make a little bit of extra revenue because I'm not focusing on my business, that's okay. Because what's important is that I have the ability to take care of her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I think those priorities come front and center, and they're always there to remind us, hey, I have a business. I love my business, but my family comes first.
Right.
My family comes first. Talk to me a little bit about, you said on Sunday, you sit down and you look at your specific week. Do you have certain tools that you like to use to plan your ideal weeks? Are you I'm going to write everything out? Or you put it into a Google Calendar? What does that look like for you?
I like to write everything out. I have a planner, just a daily planner that has that has times and everything like that. And first of all, I think it's great for my CPA loves the fact that I keep a day planner because then that's an hour tracking tool right there.
Yeah.
I can always prove my hours.
That's right.
That way. But I put stuff in my Google Calendar and my iCalendar, but I look at that and then I transfer it into my daily planner for the week.
Got it.
Because I'll make an appointment for a doctor's appointment or something like that, a couple weeks in advance.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Those happen. And then I look at okay, I know tomorrow we have 2 games. We're not going to make it home before 8:00 for dinner. So this is what I'm going to have. I have a freezer. I do pre-planned freezer meals that I can throw in the crock pot. So it'll be ready when we come home. I mean, it's a lot of just happening, and I'll plan out a whole week of menus just because I need to, know what to serve, how easy it's going to be. Do I have time to cook or not cook? I don't know.
I love that. So your ideal week consists of obviously your calendar, but it also consists of what meals you're planning for your family. My extent of that is I'm going to order pizza on Monday. I mean, that's what a lot of us do, right? If we're not planning those meals, that's awesome.
Or you want to make something and you go, oh shoot, I don't have something. I don't have this. I have to run to the store, but I don't have time to go to the store. So it's a juggle. And so you can plan it and then be able to say, okay, now here's my grocery list because I have a plan for the meals.
Mm-hmm.
I do a meal prep service too. But like I said, right now we're in a spring season. My daughter has only 2 games this week. Some games it's like, some days it's like, some weeks it's like 6. And, my son plays soccer and he has 4 games. So it's like,
right.
It's constantly something.
Right.
But it's not always that season, but still it just makes my life easier if I don't have to go at 5:00. What am I going to make for dinner? Because that is so stressful. Yeah. I'm into a stressful point of my day.
Yes. Well, it's funny. I started using a service called Hungry Root, which is I love it. I love it so much because you can, this, but for anybody listening or watching, you can take a quiz and, you can say, I don't like chopping up vegetables. I do like chopping up vegetables. I want stuff I can just throw in the microwave, or I want to prepare a meal. So you can really customize what recommendations they provide to you. And I love that they're overall really healthy meals. And to your point, the fact that I don't have to plan it, like I literally can just go to my sheet and go, okay, what sounds good? Mahi mahi with asparagus or ground beef with cauliflower,
And I love that one. I love Hungry Root as far as it's so many fresh vegetables that you can have. Like that's a big thing for us. And then most of the meals are really easy, like 15, 20 minutes. And so on a normal, like outside of spring season for us, those are really good. Or if I know we only have practice, I'll have we're going to have a Hungry Root meal tonight. Because it's more tough practice. Tomorrow, I'm going to have to plan a different type of meal because we'll all be coming in at different times. So
yes. I love your thought about the crock pot. Again, the pre-planned crock pot. You can just take it out of the freezer, put it in the crock pot. That's such a great idea. Do you have a favorite crock pot recipe go-to?
I love my crock pot. I'm a crock pot girl. I found this lady, I think she does something. She literally does freezer meals. So like a couple weeks ago, I made 12 freezer meals that I literally just take out of the freezer and I throw them in my crock pot. Best thing ever. That's it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's a lot of pre-planning, but I mean, when you're busy and you're in a busy season, it's really necessary.
Now, what if somebody is listening and they're going, okay, well, Melissa clearly is a planner, so she can do this easily. I'm not a planner. What would you say to those folks who don't maybe naturally or intuitively have that planning gene in them?
I don't always plan like every single week. I think right now I'm in a really busy season. And so I do need to plan. There'll be other days that I don't plan, but honestly, sometimes I feel like I'm almost more stressed out when I don't plan. And so I think you have to look at yourself and your systems and your, how does it, if not planning works for you, okay. But are you actually achieving your goals that you want? If you set quarterly goals and you don't have a plan, are you actually achieving them?
Right.
Because if I don't have a plan, when I kind of created a system for my week, even for the business perspective, just based on my annual goals, because if I don't work on it a little bit at a time, I know it. It's going to come December and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, I didn't do anything.
What happened? Yeah. Well, and obviously from being in the accelerator and being a pod leader in the accelerator, how important I believe it is to have those 5-year, 3-year, 1-year goals, break them down into quarterly, break them down into weekly. We can achieve anything that we put our minds to, number one, when we commit to it. So committing to those goals is so important. But then number two, we might be committed to it, but if we don't have an action approach, how am I actually going to make this come to life? We flounder, right? We just sit and flounder.
And I think we're also all busy. You can make yourself as busy as you want to be, but are you busy doing the right things for yourself, your family, and your business to meet your goals?
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, okay, so you've got your plan in place for your ideal week. Talk to me about your to-do list, because your to-do list may or may not fit in your ideal week. So how do you balance your to-do list, and do you try to batch things on your calendar? How do you approach that?
I think once again, on my planner, I always have a to-do list. Okay. But I always try to kind of keep with the big, what do I have to get done today? And for me, a lot of times I've kind of created a system of, even in my ideal week, I have money Mondays. I think you do financial Fridays, right? I've been blowing off financial Fridays too many times, so I had to move it to Monday. So I know that on Monday is usually my bookkeeping. I'm going to pay my cleaners. I'm going to do my bills, and I'm going to do my personal bills too. So anything around Monday, Monday, I know that that's going to happen. And then I'm going to go, yes, I needed to call pest control this morning. So stuff still has to happen, but I try to be very focused on that day.
Hey there, sisters. I am so excited to share a little love for today's episode sponsor, a tool I cannot imagine running my short-term rentals without. It's called StayFi. StayFi is a marketing powerhouse built just for vacation rental owners like us. It helps you collect data from every single guest who stays in your property, not just the one who made the booking. Here's how. StayFi lets you create a custom branded Wi-Fi splash page, kind of like what you see at your favorite coffee shop. Every guest enters their info to get online, which means you capture names, emails, and phone numbers from everybody who walks through your door. And the best part? With StayFi's built-in email and text tools, you can send beautiful, personalized messages in just seconds. That means more repeat guests, more direct bookings, and more control over your business. If you want to give it a try, and I highly recommend you do, head over to stayfi.com/STR Sisterhood and use the code Sisterhood to get 50% off your first 3 months. This is the kind of tool that helps you grow smarter, and you, my friend, deserve that.
Yeah. I love that. And, for me, it's interesting because my Finance Fridays are it's a way of life for me. So, when I get up on Friday morning, it's like, okay, this is the first thing I'm going to tackle today after I get through, my morning routine. But when you make those commitments to having a day, don't you find it easier? It's very clear in the types of activity that you need to do on that specific day.
It is, because otherwise I think you drift. Like I said, you can be busy to be busy. And if I don't, when I go, okay, tomorrow I have Taco Tuesday, which I do, I call it track, analyze, compare, and optimize. So that's like my listing optimization. That might be numbers. It might, but I have a system in place. Otherwise, I'll scroll through Facebook for 2 hours. And then, and sure enough, my whole day will be killed doing, nothing. I'll be busy, but I'll be doing nothing. I will not accomplish something. So I think just having that, and like you said, stuff happens. Other things happen. But if I can spend an hour, just even an hour on that, then that just one more, a little bit closer to my goal.
Absolutely. I love that you have Taco Tuesdays, but they're not real tacos for dinner. That's so fun. I love that. I love it. I feel like I have such a visual, like a logo for Taco Tuesdays in my brain while we're talking. So,
yeah.
Now, I am curious, how much do you personally do in your business? Meaning, are you still, for your 4 properties, are you still doing all the guest communications? And how does this fit into your ideal week?
I do. Well, I went to AI. So I went to HostBuddy AI, which has saved me from the mundane. But I do still do a lot of guest communications. For me, it's a struggle in that I do a lot of everything. I've always been the CEO of our house. I've been the CEO of our business. It's just something that I do. But I am slowly trying to put stuff off. Like I'm about to hire a revenue manager. Mostly because I realized that I have been blowing off revenue management, even though this is one of my goals, for the last 4 months. And so I said, you know what? If I'm not doing it, then I need to delegate it.
Yeah.
Because there's something going on here that I'm resisting. So.
And isn't it funny how, I'm the type of person where I will write out my to-do list every day. Even if it's the same to-do list, I find that repetition personally is super helpful. If I have one thing that carries over, okay, I didn't get this done yesterday, I'm going to do it today. And I find it very interesting, the things that always get moved over to the following day. I'm like, oh, this is probably work that I should delegate, right?
Yeah.
But your revenue management, if it's not something that naturally lights you up,
Right.
or if you find that, hey, I really need to do this, but I don't want to do this, but I know it's necessary, that's a great first clue. Like, I need to give this to someone else, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I struggle, and actually, this is one of those things that I'm going to talk to you about on the retreat.
Yeah.
Is like being the CEO, but I also want to have a profitable business. If I delegate everything, like,
right.
I'm
delegating my paycheck. Okay. No.
I mean, honestly, like, that's a big part of it. So yeah. How can I get some of this stuff off of my plate? I think some of us have talked about like going in together for a VA and things like that. So maybe that will eventually happen. So especially like to not have communications on the weekend. I would love.
Right. Well, and again, if you potentially make that a non-negotiable for you, all right, no guest communications on the weekend. Maybe you have a part-time VA that covers that. And your point, I think what's so awesome is the world is really our oyster, and we can be creative. Just because something hasn't been done before doesn't mean that you can't create it, right? So I've got the Taco Tuesday logo in my head, and now I have that creative thing happen, and like, oh, well, we can put that together really easily for you there, Melissa.
Yeah, I know. It's good. It's just, there's so much to do. Like, if you want to run a profitable business, you're always doing so much stuff. And so I do struggle though, because I'm like, I want to have cash at the end of the day too. So,
right. Well, and when it comes to profitability, we have really 3 different options. We can increase our income, we can decrease our expenses, or we can streamline operations. Like, at its core, those are the 3 options. And so perhaps it's taking a deeper look into, all right, what are my opportunities to increase my income? It sounds like revenue management is at the top of that list, right?
Yeah.
What are my opportunities to decrease expenses? And what are my opportunities to increase efficiency in the way that my company is running in, a day-to-day basis? And it could be a combination of all of those things.
All of those things, yeah.
For sure. I'm curious. This is a little bit off topic, but it kind of bleeds back into it. I'm curious for your kiddos. They're seeing mom running a business and obviously being strategic with her time. But also, I'm wondering, are they ever asking you questions about your business? Do you see the light bulb going off with lessons that they're learning from you?
They are not interested in my particular business, although they like to go visit the property.
Of course they will. Yeah.
But not yet. But I think that they do appreciate the fact that, like I have the flexibility to do what they need to do. And I think that they do appreciate all of that. It's hard work to kind of do it all. Like, do it all basically. So,
and I am sure whether they articulate it or not, they see the work ethic that you have, and they probably model that really well, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go back to your short-term rental business and Ideal Week. So you said revenue management, you're getting ready to outsource or delegate to someone else. Are there other aspects of your business that you have identified like, oh, I really love doing this and I want this in my Ideal Week?
I have never minded bookkeeping. So I don't mind doing my own bookkeeping. I feel like, once again, money is where it's at in this business. And I don't have a handle on the money, then it's, you just constantly paying. So I don't mind the bookkeeping at all. I don't mind doing my P&Ls, but that's where for me, I've noticed that I do my hard things like on a Monday, really, and then they kind of gradually get easier through the week. And, I'd love to be able to say by Friday.
No wonder you were ditching Finance Friday. No,
it really was. It really was. Between the fact that I want to travel on a Friday, I travel way too many times on a Friday, and I just miss it. So I kind of stack my harder things at the beginning of the week. So then by about so I have Monday is a hard day. Not hard. It's more intense. Right? That's what I do. And then I give myself pretty much by Thursday afternoon, I would love to be able to say, I'm going to go have lunch with a friend. I'm going to go get a facial. I'm going to go, get my hair done, something like that for myself. And then Fridays, I call them Freedom Fridays. And I either can catch up on something or not. Or I can do something for my family. I can do something for my house, anything like that.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that I track weekly are what I call unplugged hours. And my unplugged hours, I want to have actually play out Monday through Friday, because for me, Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to naturally unplug anyway. So I have a goal of how many unplugged hours I want during the week. And oftentimes, to your point, I try to batch the more difficult things earlier in the week. I've got very heavy meeting days, Mondays and Tuesdays. Usually by Wednesday, I've got some breathing room. But I really try to actually block out Thursday and Friday so that on Thursday I am, sometimes there's a downfall from your Monday through Wednesday meetings that I got to catch up on that, or I've got a to-do or a takeaway that I need to tackle. But one of the early things that I learned is, and I'm still guilty of this sometimes, but I'm really good at filling my calendar with meetings, but not giving myself time to actually get work done. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I have to schedule in creative time. I need time, and I'm the type of person where I'm most creative early in the morning. That's the way I am. So I will just naturally get up and have my own time in the morning to be creative. So even if I have a meeting schedule that's heavy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can still get stuff knocked out, early in the morning those days. I'm curious for you, do you have a certain time of day that you also find you're most creative, or maybe more in tune with what you need to accomplish, or creative from that perspective?
So I built in a creativity day, which is I call Winning Wednesdays. I have acronyms for everything. Otherwise, I'm going to forget them all.
There you go.
But I call my Winning Wednesdays as a strategy day. And that is going to be the big picture. And maybe that's doing things like implementing a new software, but it's not necessarily a fixed one thing that I have. Now we're building a new house. So a lot of those Wednesdays is about the design and, decisions and some research and things like that. So, but I kind of think of it as a big picture day for me. So I figure that that Wednesday is more of a big picture. Where do I want to go, and how do I need to do that? Do I need to implement a system? Do I need to implement a new checklist? Do I need to do another SOP? What is it that I need for those kind of days? And so that's and once again, for me, my schedule is during the school day. When my kiddos are at school, those are my working times, or, after I work out, because I need to have a little bit of time for myself in the morning. But then, I'll work until they come home from school, and then that's it. But then I try to stop, really.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got Money Mondays, Taco Tuesdays, Winning Wednesdays. I need to know what happened on Thursdays. What is Thursday?
I call it Tap Thursday, which it's not the best acronym because it's like target, analyze, post. It's marketing. Hey, marketing Thursdays. And that could be, once again, I'll batch social media posts like once a month, and try to post them all, like make them, create them in Canva, post them. And working on like my email marketing, trying to do a newsletter. It will happen on Thursdays. And once again, I'm only going to try to work like a half a day if I can.
Right.
Then, have the rest of it to.
Right.
And it's not like that you don't necessarily work, but you allow yourself flexibility.
Yeah.
Like you said, like stuff happens, stuff piles up that you do need to take care of. And you do, but to be able to create flexibility into your system is also so important, I think.
Absolutely. And I think also, let me know if you agree, but it's not like you have to spend every waking hour on Thursdays in marketing. Like as long as you've got your own framework for what works for you, it could be 45 minutes. It could be an hour and a half. It could be 2 hours, but it doesn't have to be every waking minute.
No, I mean, and that's my thing is that if I'm busy doing something else, I just kind of say, could I spend an hour on this? Spend an hour on marketing. You can do quite a few things in an hour. And, maybe you need to move on to something else, whether it's personal, whether it's another business thing. You can do all of that. And then but you got a little bit done. And it's just the baby steps. Like if you can constantly take those baby steps, eventually you're going to kind of get to where you want to go.
Amen, sister. I'm curious, what do you do? How do you approach it? If, let's say you're having a Tap Thursday and you're working on marketing, and let's say you didn't get your social media stuff finished before you had to go out and pick up the kids. How do you handle that? Do you come back and do it on Friday? Do you wait until the following Thursday? What does that look like for you?
It might it could be a very different thing. It could be, okay, well, I got, 6 posts done instead of 12 that I wanted. So let me just schedule the 6 because that will take me, 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm going to call it a day. Maybe I do it on Thursday. Maybe I'll do it on Friday. I don't, there's no right answer because it all depends on what's going on that day.
Yeah.
If we have a softball game that I'm picking her up for, and then Friday we're out of town, it's not happening. It'll happen next Thursday. Or I'll just kind of go, okay, what can I do? Okay, so now it's Thursday and I need to put my post out for next week. Can I just get that Monday, Wednesday, Friday post out? And
right.
It.
Right.
And and just do that a little bit. And it's not perfect. It's very messy, but it's just enough sometimes.
Well, I think if there's anything that's resonating with anyone watching or listening, I think what's so important as a takeaway is Melissa is the perfect example of she's saying, I'm taking messy action. I'm just putting one foot in front of another. And every day is a small step. That's it. Every day is a small step. And I think so often it's so easy for us. I'm going to say as women, maybe guys do this too, but I think it's so easy to think all this, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do. So I'm just going to sit here and think about all the things I have to do, and I'm not going to do any of them because it feels very overwhelming.
I think it's overwhelming. I think as you can get overwhelmed with your to-do list, but you, like you said, just what is one thing that you can scratch off today? One thing that you want to cross off, because doesn't it feel so good to cross off your list?
Girl, yes,
so good to go. Good, done.
Yes, yes.
But I also think that, like in this environment, we all there's so much comparison, and to let go of that comparison, what's right for me and what's right for you is not right for somebody else.
Right.
I have no desire to co-host like you do. And that totally stressed me out. that would just, I couldn't do it.
I have no desire to have 4 kids. That would totally stress me out.
But that's okay. Like we can each run our own business and, and I'm happy. I'm successful with what I'm doing. I'm super happy for you with what you're doing, then that's the beauty about being women too, is that we can be our biggest cheerleaders too.
I know. And to your point, like I spent so many years judging myself by someone else's ruler. I mean, I did that for years after my mom died, because my mom was like Mrs. Cleaver. She was the perfect mom. Like she could do no wrong in my eyes. And for many, many years, I thought less of myself because I didn't like to bake homemade chocolate chip cookies after school. And I didn't like to, teach my kids how to ballroom dance in the family room. Like I was different than she was. But for many years, I looked at myself in a negative light because of that. And once I learned that, again, we can't judge ourselves by someone else's ruler or measure ourselves by what you want is different than what I want. And that's both beautiful. Both of us, again, have the ability to create something that's right and magical for us. And I think that that's such an important message to always remember, because we can absolutely be supporters of one another and know we're each unique in our own right too.
I always have a saying that I say to my daughters is that like comparison is a thief of joy. Because, somebody is always going to have more money, have a bigger house, have a better car, but you have great stuff as it is. You can be perfectly happy with your life and not have somebody else's life. There's plenty of people who have less than you too.
Yep.
Just be happy with where you're at today. And
I love that.
Enjoy it. Life is too short. Life is too short, right?
Amen, sister. Amen. All right. I want to move to the lightning round. Okay. And I'm going to ask you to answer with the very first thing that comes to mind. First question is, where is your favorite place to vacation?
On a cruise ship.
Yeah, baby.
Where? I mean, I have 4 kids. If I don't have to cook, I am good.
And so do you have a favorite cruise line that you like to go on?
We go on Royal Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean. Yep. Yep. And I know you've been on several cruises, right? And you're getting ready to go on another one, or you just got back from one?
We just got back from one.
You just got back from one.
Well, though we are taking a Greek Isle cruise this summer.
Okay, that's fun. We'll have to trade comments about that. All right. So do you have a favorite memorable cruise that you went on? Like one that just stood out above all the rest?
Geez. But yes and no, but they're for random reasons. I think
tell us more.
No, we just have a really fun time, and I've had to let go letting my kids vacation the way they want to vacation and allowing myself to vacation the way I want to vacation, and know that you guys can go do your own thing, and then let's meet together for dinner.
Yes.
Like you just kind of have to let, it's a learning opportunity, just to be like, okay, this is what we're going to do in port. This is what we're going to do. You have a couple activities for everybody, and then let them be.
Now, your oldest is how old?
My oldest is 25.
Okay. And your youngest is how old?
She is 13. Almost.
Okay. And so when you're in port, do you do different things, or do you all stay together?
When we're in port, we'll all stay together.
Okay.
For the yes. So that is typically our thing. And our oldest, unfortunately, is she's 25. She's in the Navy actually, so as a Navy officer, and so she does not get to travel with us as much as she would have liked.
Yep. But you raised her right, obviously being on a cruise ship. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. What's one place you've never been that you want to visit?
I have a bucket list of places, but one of my goals is to visit all 7 continents. I have 5 down. So I need Antarctica and South America still.
Ooh, okay.
And I could hit both of those in one trip. Like I would love, So there you go.
They're okay. I could do South America, but I don't know about Antarctica. I don't like to be cold.
I don't really like to be cold either, but I really want to just, I think it'd be very cool.
You can
also be like to the Galapagos and the Maldives, and there's a whole like name a Pacific island, and I want to be there.
I love it. I love it. Okay, what's one thing you know now that you wished you knew when you were starting out in short-term rentals?
To be true to yourself and your values. Mm-hmm. Like find your why and just stick to it. You don't need to have somebody else's why. Mm-hmm. Your why is enough.
Mm-hmm. Have you always found it easy to know your why?
No, because I feel like I said, there was many years where I'm comparing myself to others, and somebody's doing this and somebody's doing that. Why can't I do it? Well, because I don't really want to do it. So I think it's just being good with where you're at and what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Absolutely. All right, next question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice. Ooh. I think honestly is just being yourself and being comfortable in your own skin. I really believe it is, and I think for women, it is so hard to do that. Yeah. And it has taken me a long time to get to that point.
Yeah, me too. And again, we can learn it as a child. My mom always told me how cool it was to be unique and how cool it was that I had freckled skin and red hair. And, I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her for a minute. It wasn't until decades later where I'm like, okay, I don't know how cool it is, but I don't care. This is me, right? Yeah. This is me. Was there ever an event that made you realize that? Was it a turning point, or did you just kind of evolve over time?
I think it's a massive evolution over time. Mm-hmm. I think some of it is just reading, and trying to grow yourself, like that personal growth aspect is for me is huge. And then just accepting, myself and just being, that's another thing. Like I talk to my daughters about, like, talk to yourself like you would your best friend. Holy cow, how many of us have that negative feedback loop in our head? And you just kind of say, you got to stop that.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's, again, such an important thing that a lot of people aren't even aware is going on in their minds. That's a whole other podcast episode, but yes.
That's a huge piece of advice is to talk to yourself like you would your best friend.
Love it. All right. Last question. What's one thing and or person that you're grateful for today?
My husband, Chris. He's my biggest supporter, my biggest fan. So yeah. Without him, we definitely couldn't do it. So
that's awesome. Well, it's so fun because so often I hear that my husband, is the person that people are most grateful for. And whether it's your husband, your mom, your spouse, I think what's awesome is that we're grateful, and remembering to be grateful, because so often, again, gratitude often comes in a moment of pure joy or when something exciting happens, but gratitude can just be a part of our daily lives, right? So I love that. Melissa, if someone wants to learn more about you or maybe come stay with you, what is the best place for them to find you online?
So my website, which is www.stylishstay.com. You'll see my properties there, and you can always contact me there.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, girl, before you go, let me ask you this. Are you craving more clarity, more confidence, and the kind of momentum that makes big dreams feel totally doable? If you're nodding yes, then my best-selling book, Live Big, was written just for you. Inside, you'll discover powerful mindset shifts and business strategies that help you unlock your potential and create a life you are wildly obsessed with. This isn't fluff, it's a playbook to help you rise, realign, and reignite the fire inside you. Head over to livebigwithstacy.com to grab your copy of Live Big today and take the next bold step towards the life and the business that you truly desire.